been looking for something like this for a while. I sure have been. And no, I'm not talking a Variac. I'm talking this over here. So, this last weekend, this part failed in a friend of mine's amplifier. This is a Jennings 1000. Oh, let's see. Pardon me. This is a Jennings 2300 plus or minus 5%, 16 kV / 9 kV vacuum blocker. It doesn't look damaged from the outside, does it? But we very quickly discovered that in its current installation that it would not hold anything over, about 6,000 volts. It caused all kinds of problems. So many parts got damaged when this thing arced over on the inside. In the same breath, you guys have all seen the little tiny neon sign transformer that I had. It went to about 9,000 volts, right? This one here goes a scooch higher. Let's see, it's 0.6 of an amp, which is kind of an odd rating on this, but a little bit over a half amp, they say. And its secondary, the primary is 110 volts, 120 volts, pardon me. And the secondary is 12,000 volts. Now this is a semi-smart transformer, as in it's got a reset button over here in the back corner with an indicator LED to say that there's been a short. A little sticker on here says $124.94. It's not what I paid for this. I got it for way cheaper than that. But we're going to take this, and the other thing I want to talk about is, contrary to popular belief, well, BBI isn't over here rolling in Hundies. I'm not made of money. A legit high pot tester in a cutesy little case with some meters on it and stuff. I can't afford the voltage that I want, which this transformer will allow me to achieve it. I want to see about 14,000, 15,000 volts rectified, DC, right? Because these parts we have to test in a DC environment. We can't just shoot AC at it, think it's going to stay together in one piece. It's not. It's going to give us a false reading. So over here we got a little bit of diodes. But first, I want to show you this. This is our voltage. So we have our 1000 to 1 reduction probe. Probe is hanging out of this nipple. Ground is hanging out of this nipple. The nipples. Let's grab our power wire for our Variac. And we'll go ahead, we'll turn the transformer on. The variable transformer here. Variable tap. And we're not even at 5 volts. And we have 446 volts. Here. 0. It's going to be good. There's 10 volts. 10 volts in is over 1,000 volts out. 15 volts in, 17 out. 20 volts in, 2,100. 25 volts, 3,000 volts. Man, this thing will make a hell of a Jacob's ladder. 30 volts in, 3,000 volts out. 35 volts in, 4,000 out. 40 volts in, 4. Okay, so you're 60. It's going to be right around 7, yep, 6,900, 65 volts, 7. All right, let's take our hand off the workbench. Let's put our hand up on top of the Variac now. Oh, it sensed a fault. So we'll start over. We'll hit the reset button. We'll go ahead and bring this on up. There's 7, 8,000. And my phone is ringing. I'll be right back. So my friend Chris Roy, 394 Audible Technologies, he calls me teacher. It doesn't make me feel comfortable when he says it, but we sure taught him a lot. He's doing really good, doing a lot of good work. That's who called me on the phone. And while I was on the phone with him, was able to figure out that I've got a dielectric breakdown. Dielectric breakdown is a fancy word for saying we have a short. And it's somewhere on this terminal here. So I gave it, you can see I undid the hardware and I gave it a little tappy tap. Check this out. But, oh yeah, before I do that, as we can see, I pulled the lid off. Here's all the electronics that make this work. This is our safety smart board. And really all we got to do is take white to white, and then black to yellow, and then blue to ground. And we'd have no safety interlock, no reset, and this thing would sit here and cook itself to death. Which isn't really all that bad of an idea, but they've got nothing but cardboard and the transformer and Celastic. But our insulation breakdown is on this terminal here. This is the voltage going in, that is the voltage coming out. So let's try this again, you guys. There's 2, 3, 4. There's 4, 5, 6, 7. It's about where it get flaky because we were having a little high voltage breakdown. 9. There's 10,000. There's 11. There's 12. We're going to go ahead and overclock this all the way. 13. So we have to calculate for 14,200 volts going in. Go ahead and shut this off. Let's go do a little bit of math. It always amazes me how much this number gets jaunted around. 14,500 times 1.145. So we're going to see approximately 16,000-ish volts, 16,600-ish. I doubt we'll get there because diodes and wire loss and reasons and stuff. Anyhow, so we should be able to achieve a 6,000 volt DC rectifier with this DC transformer power supply at around 0.5 of an amp, which is a lot, but it's definitely enough to high pot with. So let me go and take this terminal apart. Let's unplug the variac. Okay. Let's go pull this terminal apart here and figure out where our breakdown is, which it could be something so small I'm not probably going to be able to see it. But I want to keep the safety circuitry involved. Overload protection for the transformer. I don't know if you guys have ever had a potted transformer burn up on you before, but boy howdy, you think a regular transformer burning up stinks. Time that by 10 and that's what a potted transformer smells like. This is all soft, Celastic of some kind. But we'll go figure this out and let's build ourselves a high pot tester real quick. Okay, so I don't like this design at all. Had it pictured differently in my head, ran out of materials. We're just getting this done for now. We're gonna revisit this. I got some red high temp fiberglass coming. We'll transfer all that over. We'll build a little box, put this transformer in it. I've got a little variac that I'm gonna put into play, but for today, this is kind of crude, but this will work. Our 12,000 volt transformer. We're on the DC setting over here on the voltmeter, and we're gonna run this up. So as we can see, it comes on really smooth. I'm really happy with the electronics in this thing being what they are. So there's 1,000 volts. There's 2,000. Now this is about where the 8877 1500 A7, the 3500Z, the 1200D, all of the most common ham amplifiers operate at this voltage. Okay. So now we're going to cruise on up. And that's our voltage for roughly a 3,000 underneath load. Cruise on up here. That's the DC voltage for roughly a 6,000, which is I think 6,000 some odd volts. We'll cruise on up. There's our 15, our 10s and 15,000 A7s. So some of the crazy guys I know, They run their 15s at about 9,000 volts, which you can totally do if you got enough bias. But then this allows us to go a little bit further. There's 10,000 volts, there's 12,000 volts. And this is in DC, by the way. So go on up. There's 13,000. This is seriously hurt you dead voltage, by the way, you guys. There's 15,000. We'll go ahead, we'll max it out. We got 17,400-ish volts that we can play with. That'll kind of creep you out. You'll understand that in the real world, a high pot tester like this, you'd put this inside of a cage. There would be no way to touch anything on the outside. Even the knob for the Variac would have itself a very long, high insulated rod that would be attached to it, very well isolated. I'm out of time. I don't have any more time to dick with this. Just out of time. Out of time. So we're maintaining our 3 to 4 inches worth of gap. And we're going to bring the vacuum blocker into play. Hate these things. We'll see what happens. Either it's going to start making some serious noise, but we know for a fact that once we get over 6,000 volts, this thing is going to pop. We like to believe that, because at least that's what it was doing in operation. So there it's holding 1,000 volts. There's 2,000 volts. 3,000 volts. You know what? I want some safety squints. I really do. Let's put some safety magogs on here. So that's 3,750 volts. We'll go on up. $10,000. There it is. So it broke down at 12,000 volts. Wow, that blinked out everything. It blinked out my computer, blinked out the other computer. There's such a huge electrical force that lets go when this thing shorts out. Let's take the microphone, we'll lay it down here, lay the Pel here. Let's run it back up again. This cap is bad, way bad. Needless to say, we can't trust this. I needed to test this. Absolutely had to test this. And it could just be the way the cap is laying on the counter, right? The way this thing was mounted. So shut that off. The way the cap was mounted was more along like on these lines. Sitting in dude's box just like this. And it could arc at a different voltage here, but I know personally that this cap was breaking down and shorting out at around 6,000 volts. I'd bump it up to about 6,500. When I'd bring the plate on at the full 8,500 volts, it was blowing the safety fuse in the high voltage circuit. There's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Maybe this experiment finally killed this old fluke, which I've had forever. Nope. Come back to life. This meter has been my hero forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Wow, I swear to God I had the white balance right when I did this initial test. This is amazing how mad it's messing with all the electronics around here. It's going up. Sounds like a doorbell. Ring, ding, 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 ding. There goes the white balance all out of skew again. So the arc that is taking place inside of here is so affecting the electronics, the computer, everything. Wow, that is amazing. It's even affecting the camera. This is no cheap camera. It's not like I'm doing this on a cell phone, y'all. I don't like vacuum blockers. That's why. I don't like them. That's why. As you can see, the screen over here is tripping out. This thing's breaking down like breaking down. That's craziness. There's a reason that I took this from my friend's house, because I didn't want by chance for somebody to forget what was going on with it and it get recycled into something else for some other reason. But needless to say, we're going to call this a confirmed. It was happening at a lower voltage, of course, different temperature, different location. Hell, I could tap on this thing right now and that would change the voltage. That this thing decides it's going to let go and fry everything else in the amp. No, no good. No good. Needless to say, junk. Okay, time to clear the workbench. I got to get on to something else. Gentlemen, I appreciate you following along and just tuning in and watching me do my thing here. I've done the same test in other videos before. I don't believe I put them behind a rectifying string. I think I was hitting them with straight AC. I can't believe nobody there in YouTube land was calling me out on that, but finally I had a friend of mine educate me a little bit. His first name might have been Terry. He might have been out of Florida. Taught me a little bit. He goes, "Young man, you're being stupid on video. Change what you do." I said, "Yes, sir." I got on with it. So came home, got me the appropriate transformer so I could go way higher in voltage, and set up a diode string. Yeah, look at BB I go. On that note, I got to run. Gentlemen, I appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in on the next thing on this Dog and Pony show, which I think is a 1x4. I'll see you, gents. Click, click.